Good afternoon. Welcome back. Good morning. Good evening. We're going to be talking today about work fatigue. And so my intro probably is fitting because work for so many of us who in some ways are fortunate to be able to work from home as opposed to work from outside the home. But actually, regardless, work right now is a thing. And it's hard and it's creating a considerable amount of fatigue. Recent studies have shown that we, all over the world actually, are working more hours than we were pre-pandemic, and we're taking more meetings than we were before COVID-19. And so, just as a heads up, if we're talking, if I'm talking and you hear some extraneous noise, again, since we're working from home, anything can happen. I hope it isn't distracting. Also, before I started rolling the videotape, there was a fly that landed on my shoulder. So who knows? Anything can happen. So I want to talk about the reasons for the fatigue and emotionality that we are showing, are presenting with these days. Many of us, if not all of us. And then I want to talk about things that we can do, some simple practical practices that we can engage in to kind of make this life of ours easier and hopefully more pleasant. So what are the reasons why we're experiencing more work fatigue and more emotionality? And it's simply, or maybe not so simply, because our brain is working differently and our brain is working harder during this COVID-19 period. So what do I mean by that? Well, for those of us who spend so much of our workday looking at a screen or working virtually, we actually are attending more closely to whatever it is we're looking at. We don't have the advantage of having nonverbal cues staring us directly in the face because we're actually like looking at them in real time. When you're looking into a screen, you have to look a little more closely in order to see what really is there, in order to kind of read the cues, so you are picking up on what is being communicated and what you need to communicate back. So our brain is working harder. That's one. Secondly, we're multitasking more than we ever have. And by that I mean, for those of you who have kids who are about to go back to school, and I'm using air quotes because that can mean a variety of things. Many school districts are using a hybrid system, and actually many school systems have decided to go back to their virtual delivery system. So if you're working at home and you have your children at home, obviously you're going to be focusing on work. You're going to be focusing on them. That's clear. That's a clear form of multitasking. You may have other things that you have to do too. You may be waiting for Amazon deliveries. And so you're thinking about that while you're working. And that too takes up a lot of brain power and contributes to fatigue. And when the brain is fatigued, when we are fatigued, we have really less of a rope. We have less of a fuse, making it easier for us to become emotional and not so rational. Two other reasons. One is some people, and many people, feel right now job insecure, and so they may think that they need to work harder, they need to do an even better job than they typically do in order to prove their worth to their boss or their employer. We're worrying perhaps about losing our jobs, and so we want to do whatever we can to make ourselves seem indispensable to our employer. Again, the economy right now it's uncertain, and so that breeds insecurity. And then finally, if you're working from home, and if your office has become your home, you probably find that you have a less defined start and stop time. It's not like you're getting up, you're opening the door, you're entering the world. You're sort of getting up and you're going to your office, and it's not like you're leaving your office and you're coming home and you're switching scenes, and it's just easier to like not do work. All of the cues that beckon us to the office now are around us really 24/7. So there's a less defined start and stop time that also promotes fatigue. So what do we do? I mean, what do we do about all of this in an effort to enjoy our work more, feel more relaxed while at work, feel happier? And I'm going to outline just a few things. One, if it's possible and the sun is shining, work outside. Get out of your office, change it up, enjoy the sunlight, enjoy your home surroundings. We can be extremely productive even if we're working outside and not necessarily in our office per se. So change it up and get outside and get some fresh air and get some fresh sunlight. Secondly, set limits with yourself. I've talked before in previous videos about positive psychology practices. Learning to say no is an important practice. Even though we may worry about saying no, we may worry about what our boss may think, we may worry about what the client may think. I think we're actually going to find that if we say no and we take breaks, we'll be more productive, and that will be equally, if not more, pleasing to the people to whom we feel we answer, or to the people to whom we actually do answer. And if what I'm saying isn't right, if you have to keep working, if you have to keep pushing the pedal to the metal, then you always can go back and do that. So please consider saying no. It's important. Third, reward yourself at the end of the day, at the end of the work day, or even throughout the day if you can. Do things that you enjoy. I'm not talking necessarily about having a drink at the end of the day, even though you may like that, you may want to do that. That isn't necessarily a positive psychology practice, especially if you find that it relaxes you and then you want to do it even more the next day. But there are other things, obviously, that we enjoy doing. Having a wonderful meal, eating with someone you care about, walking, running, exercising, spending time with your kids, watching TV, even though that means you're on a screen yet again. But make sure every day you do some things that you enjoy and that you're not all work and no play. We have to build leisure time into our lifestyles, or into our lives. Also, please don't strive for perfection. Perfectionism is an expression of anxiety. Sometimes when we try to dot all the I's and we cross all the T's, we feel like we have control, and that feels good and soothing, but it's a negative practice that can build on itself, becoming a habit and creating fatigue, stress, unhappiness, more emotionality. So just do the best you can and be good with how you're doing. Almost finally, I keep saying this in other videos because it's important. There's an abundance of research which supports the importance of creative and flexible thinking for one's mental health. Think flexibly. Pay attention to the degree to which you find yourself thinking in a black and white way, and when it's happening, try to change it up. Problems are solved best when we employ flexible practices. So try to be flexible. For example, if you have to do a run, some sort of like errand during the workday, and you find yourself thinking, I absolutely can't break away from the office because I have to be present from 9 to 5, unless you absolutely have to be present at your desk from 9 to 5, take a break, go do something that you need to do. Try to enjoy yourself while you do it. Listen to the radio, if people still listen to the radios. I don't want to sound old-fashioned, put on a podcast. Whatever you enjoy listening to, do that and come back. And if the workday ends at 6 o'clock, the workday ends at 6 o'clock. If you have dinner and you have to go back to the office, go back to the office. But make sure that you aren't staying up until 2 o'clock in the morning and then getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning, because you want to be the best employee possible. And then finally, I've already sort of alluded to this. Be good to yourself. Be positive to yourself. Don't beat up on yourself. I've said this again in previous videos. Don't think about how you could be perhaps a better teacher to your kids, or you could be, perhaps, a better friend to your friends. Of course, strive to do good, but feel good about the good that you're doing, because this is hard and we need energy. And if we don't take care of ourselves, the energy won't be there. So be kind to yourself, be good to yourself. Obviously, you are an important person. Okay, thank you. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I will be back for better or for worse. Thank you.